Hey everyone, GeForce41 here with another TGC Tours Rookie Design Contest playthrough. Today I'm going to Westchester Woods in Westchester County, New York. Fairly close to where I grew up. I grew up on the island actually, but still have family up there, so I know the area well. This course is by GeneCreemers. His name is Kyle, and he kindly asked me to review his course when he viewed one of my other videos out there. So happy to do that, and especially happy to do that because I know the area. I'm from New York, and I still have family around Westchester. This is supposed to be a private country club just outside of White Plains, and I know that area well. It's a Donald Trent Fazio course. Oh boy. A combination of Donald Ross, Robert Trent Jones, and Tom Fazio. Good luck there, Kyle. Combining those three. 7,000 yard par 71, and he does give some tee and hole location combinations, so I'm going to do green and 1 per his combination. He did not give a wind preference. Again, I highly recommend designing with a prevailing wind and suggesting a wind or an easy wind or a hard wind to play through, east, west, north, south. So I just do northeast medium when I don't know. Okay. So again, let me give my disclaimer. I'm happy to do this. I am an experienced designer and a judge, and I'm going to give some critical feedback. Now, I don't want to be critical in the sense that I'm giving criticism, but really constructive criticism in order to help the designer and everybody else get a little bit better. The other disclaimer I always give is your course is going to be a hell of a lot better than mine were when I was a rookie. So take everything as coaching and not personal, and let's get right to the golf. So Westchester Woods by GeneCreemers, White Plains, New York. Here we go. All right, pretty good. That grass looks a little big actually, but good scene. Let's just take another quick look at the write-up. He says here, this is a shot maker's course. It's going to have dog legs, uneven lies, multi-tiered greens, all designed to test every aspect of a player's shot making ability. I like that idea. We'll see how he comes through on the delivery here and the execution. So first glance, I like the splining. The fairways look neat. You've got light rough there, which is key in a course like this. I've talked about light rough before on a country club kind of thing. Yeah, you need the light rough. There are certain courses that you could get away with no light rough. This would not be one of them, so good job there. And it looks excellent. The proportionality, it's just a little band of light rough, and the textures look good. It blends. This is what I'm talking about when blending those textures. See, it's just a little bit different than the heavy rough, and it fits nicely with the fairway. So that to me looks nice and realistic. The planting looks natural and realistic. The bunkers are a unique shape. I'm not sure what's going on there. We got a hawk or an eagle or something. Interesting shapes. We'll see how those play out. All right. Let's take a quick look up the green. A little two-tiered front to back action happening there. The bunkers again are kind of interesting shapes, but let's start playing, see what happens. Cut this a little on the right side. We got the blimp on display here. That's not going to be in the fairway, but should have an angle in. I can use that slope there. See, ooh, I do not have a good lie, so I got to give it a little extra. Hopefully that will be enough and run up. It's not going to be. That was a really bad lie. Front of the green looks good. So I've talked about this in other videos. This I don't want to spin around too much, but we'll talk about that. That entrance to the green is pretty good for a slightly elevated green. That's what you want to do. So a lot of times it's too steep or too lumpy, especially newer designers. It's steep, but it's realistic steep. So you need that on these type of greens, and if you're doing Donald Ross-ish, you really need to do that well. That hole was a little Donald Rossi. I don't know about these bunkers yet, but we'll see. Again, the grass in the background looks good. It just looks a little big. Again, I just know these are picking things I notice because I do this all the time. It looks good off to the side. Just, you know, you got to be careful of the size because close up it starts to look a little silly. Tee boxes look flat. Again, you know, a good fairway, relatively flat, but we've got a drivable 4 here. The big hill that way. Let's get the tree out of the way. This could be a little bit... It's not bad at all. It's going to serve the purpose. These are kind of hard to pull off, this sculpting. You might want to do it like a little more... It's hard for me to do it on a PlayStation here. I won't... You know what, folks? Just for the sake of the video, I'm going to leave it as is. Again, these bunkers look very shapy and kind of uniform, especially that middle one. We'll get back to that in a second. We're only on hole 2, so I don't want to pass the judgment yet. So maybe I'll talk about the sculpting now that I'm down here and I kind of pulled it. Yeah, see what happens there? It's a little much. You kind of want to be... Let's see if I can get the... it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Sorry, folks. Unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to tell you what I've got in my head. Thanks to being on the PlayStation. I got a flop one that actually worked. I had little to no confidence in that. But can you get up and down for a bird? We're kind of on a flat section here. We'll talk about the putting and the beads. You'll notice the 3 beads in front of me are moving to the left. The 3 around the green are dead straight. Not sure if that's intentional. That tends to happen when you kind of unnaturally just flatten that hole, which I used to do all the time. So people didn't get ticked off at you. Sorry about that. Needed a sip of coffee. Alright, again, I like the splining here. This is nice and neat and even. So you've done a good job of that. It's a little angular there. I'm not sure if that's on purpose. And it's angular up there at the end of the bunker. Again, this shape is very geometric. These shapes, I gotta say at this point, hole 3, they're very Rainer-esque, if you ask me. I don't know if that's what you're going for, because you're going for Ross, Trent Jones, and Fazio. If you throw Rainer in there, that's a hell of a mix. Some of this stuff looks Rainer-esque to me, which there are a lot of, well, let's say a lot, but there are some courses in Westchester, Sleepy Hollow, comes to mind that are Rainer, but I'm not sure if that's what you're intending. Nothing wrong with Rainer. Some folks are not a fan of those kind of shapes. He's a super interesting guy and super interesting courses. I might be doing, coincidentally, the other reason I'm doing this is one of my other ideas is a Westchester-based course. I did do one back in the day, Hessian Hills, back when I had no idea what I was doing. And I might do another one that's kind of a sister course to that, if I ever get around to it. I think I'm doing the links first. Not bad. A little bit of another kind of tiered green. I like the way this is moving. Sorry, the tree's in the way. You got the cityscape in the background there. Bunkers are in a good spot. Let's get at it. Oh, I pulled it. Well, we'll see how the bunker sculpted, I think. Stayed up, all right. Oh, it's a bit of a big hill there. That's all right, though. Might be a little much. I stayed on the light rough. He didn't like it. I liked it. I'm not sure why he's throwing his hands up. A little long, but I'll take it. See, again, you've got the beads. You got one bead going this way, then this bead's going that way, and I've only got a 5-foot putt, or 6-foot putt. And the beads behind me are going, everything's going this way, except this guy's going this way. Even behind me is going this way. Going to the left, I should say, okay? And so the predominant flow of the screen is to the left. That bead there, I know this is super nitpicky, folks, and you can't look at these things from every angle. Really should be going that way. And that takes a lot of testing and just looking around the hole. And again, that happens when you flatten around the hole, so you just gotta be careful. And how you'd remedy that, just take the fuzzy brush and just like an inch or a half inch, just kind of raise it up until it starts going the direction you want, and you don't impact the overall flow of the green much. I mean, super nitpicky stuff, but I notice on just about every course I'm reviewing, we've got this kind of weird lumpy donut thing going on that, you know, Peltz used to always talk about, because everybody walks around the hole. You get a lumpy donut. Okay. We've got a par 3 with 3 tiers going. This is interesting. First of all, the cityscape looks excellent. I don't do cityscapes. One, because I'm a PlayStation designer, and two, it takes up too much meter and time. But that looks really cool. That's really well done. I bet that ate up a ton of your meter, though, buddy. But great job on that. So I'm not going to critique that because I don't do them, and I think that looks excellent. So hat tip there. Good job with the water. And you got retaining walls, which are horrendously tedious to do. I tend not to do them because they take so much time. But that's well done. And I like the water there, which is kind of shallow look to it. And, you know, it's kind of got the dirt in there. Some people kind of overdo the grass thing, and that looks natural. You might even put some little plants or something in there, but that's a very kind of natural looking pond. I'd say well manicured for a country club, so maybe you don't need the wild growth in there. Maybe they clean it up. It's a country club, right? What I gotta say about this, though, is this hole looks like it should go like this. If you're coming at it this way, that looks like a par 3. It just looks like it's going backwards. You don't often see, you do see holes that will go front to back, but this is just kind of weird. 3 tiers going down, down, down to the back, and then that thing on the other side. I almost looked at it and said, is this a shared hole with something else? You know, it's going to be par 3 coming back the other way, but a little unique to say the least. So I'm going to try to hit that tier there. I'm going to draw it in. It's a little off, and I whiffed. Alright. See if you put a drop area in. Nope. Alright, that's a little advanced thinking. Oh well. Terrible shot on my part. Otherwise, I like the concept. I'm just not sure of the 3 tiers and how it's rolling. Almost could have been a Redan type of hole. I think would have been better there. Alright. Interesting, at least. Alright, bud. The blimps follow me around. Awesome. Again, I like the fairways. They're a little narrow, but fine. On a country club in Westchester County, you're going to get narrow, right? You're not going to have a whole lot of land. So that's realistic. Again, these shapes, kind of uniform and Rainer-esque. I like that shape. That's kind of unique. Fitting it right in that corner. The sculpting on them they look flattish. I did see some comments out there. Yeah, you do want the bunkers flat on the interior, but you do want to sculpt around here maybe a little bit more and a little more evenly with... Take the flat brush, the fuzzy donut I call it, and just raise it 2-3 inches and go around the edges. I'm not sure you did that here. I'm not sure what you did. They don't look bad. They just look a little blah. I'm going to cut one. Stay out of it. There you go. Yeah, and the fairway's taken this, so that should be... That looks like it's a little raised over there, so the ball bounced back to the fairway, which is pretty good. Yeah, again, you've got these very shapy, uniform bunkers and this very razor straight side of the green. This is screaming Rainer to me. This sculpting needs to be evened out a little bit, I think, bud. This is a little much. It's just a little too unnatural. I think what happens if you flatten this, that just kind of goes... You kind of got to take a wide brush and just make that a little bit more gradual, and you could even kind of take, sometimes it gets a little concave. You could take the brush and just lower. Whoops, I'm going the wrong way. So much fun when you're on PlayStation. It makes you all dizzy, right? Well, it's very straight there too, but you kind of take the fuzzy brush and lower it a couple inches and just trace around it a little. It gives you a little bit more natural feel. This is just a little lumpy. Just, I don't know, it doesn't look natural. So those are kind of hard um, techniques to get down early on. And it's very hard to describe and not show you, especially when you're messing around the PlayStation, not PC. That's not a bad shot in, I'll take that. Alright, there you go. See, now this putt, everything's moving fairly evenly. See the beads? That's kind of what you're going for, alright? You get a nice even roll. There you go. See, it's nice and even. All three of those beads are going nice and even around the hole. Right? 1, 2, 3. I think early on I was guilty of that. Over the years I've gotten all sorts of interesting comments, like a direct message on PlayStation saying, dude, fix your bleeping greens. And they, used the real word. So that was lovely. Not high, good job. Fix your effing greens. Alright. Constructive feedback by way of PlayStation Messenger. Anyway, so this one, that's a little narrow for me. Again, you're kind of angular here. Sometimes Ross does this. I think in Inverness there's some kind of angular, but there's a little more curvature sometimes. I would have this out here. I mean, look where this green goes, right? Your angle in is over here. I'm not sure why you cut that off. I would do something like add some fairway out here. I'd lose this tree and maybe put a bunker just about 10 yards past where my cursor is right now. That would make it more interesting. Give us some room, because now I love 3-wood options. I don't have a 3-wood option, really. I mean, it's the same thing, especially where's the wind behind me. If I had the wind in my face, yeah, probably better 3-wood option. Not much. Even if I go 5-wood, 10 feet down with 5-mile-an-hour winds, I might roll in because you got firm fairways. That's not a great option. Over here is all right. That's a decent option. Meh, you know. So decent idea. I just think you need maybe a little bit more over here, especially even for the 3-wood if you want to bail out. But with the wind, I'm just gonna just blast it over here. And it just goes right through. So, decent shot. Just blasted it through. Again, 1, 2, 3 tiers. We're on hole 6. We've already had a couple of 3-tiered greens. Everything's a tier. I know you said that in your write-up. You can't go to this well too often. You've already went to it a bunch of times. We're on the 6th hole. Heavy rough. I'm going to give it even some more extra. And again, these bunkers are starting to get repetitive. That's a problem with these kind of geometric bunkers. They just get super repetitive, super fast. Unless your name is Seth Rayner. Hit that hill. Given my spot in the rough, I'll take that. Just a little chip here. Put a lot of spin on that. Sit, sit, sit. All right. So, the bit of advice I got early on that really changed my outlook on designing holes is, don't make to look your hole hard. I know you want to make it a shot maker's course, but the goal is not to make it hard. The goal is to make it interesting and fun. And I think early on I was too wrapped up in trying to make it hard and put a challenge in there because everybody was shooting 58, 57 or whatever it is. So, if your goal with the tiers is to make it hard, rethink that and try to make it interesting. That's my early take. We're on hole 6. This is interesting. I like it. It's a little bold in here. You get away with it. Does it drain? Yeah, this would drain down here. You got, again, it's 3 tiers. You got one tier here, a tier in the middle, tier to the side. A little different. Um, Nothing wrong with it. Again, you've got this kind of geometric shape here, and yeah, I don't know. It's kind of a home plate shape. Green, again, it's unique. You know, Ross does do some of these greens that are kind of angular. Again, I'm thinking Inverness because I did a course inspired by Inverness. Um, but so far, I don't see a whole lot of Ross other than that first hole. 6 miles an hour left to right. Again, the cityscape behind the course looks excellent. The tee boxes are flat. I instinctively check those. As I do that when I test my own courses. I like that bunker on the left that wraps around. That's a little different. But again, these shapes just to me are odd. All right, and again, so now the beads are going kind of uniform directions around the hole. You can have a putt that breaks 2 directions, but this is the way to do it. In front of me goes to the left, and down here goes to the right. That's fine. It's not going to be enough break, it's going to be enough speed. The front of the greens look good. Remind me to touch on that when I can. And a little slope tee box, no big deal. Alright. Again, the planting looks okay. You've got a bunch of rocks really close to the fairway. I don't know why that is. One or two maybe around the trees. I'm not sure what this is inspired by. If they're in play, I'd be very careful with that, especially with multiple rocks. I could see how you'd put like maybe 1 or 2 here, but again, you could hit those and anything can happen, which is true in real life, I guess, but I'm not sure you need like this here and all of these. The further out of play you are, the more you can kind of put rocks in, but I'd be very, very cautious about putting them in play. Here, obviously, most people are going to blast it down here, so it doesn't matter. But I'd have most of the rocks in there. Water looks excellent. The wind is behind me, so I'm not going to go driver. Let's take a look at the green. Again, you got 3 tiers. All right, so let me hit it. I'm going to go 3 wood. Come on, wind. Yeah, it's going to be fine. So far, the fairways are flat. You said there were going to be a lot of side hill lies. I don't see any. But fine, I'd assume around White Plains it's not going to be super hilly. But when you said Ross and uneven lies, I thought we were going to have some serious hills. Just to touch on the front of the greens, these are really well done. These are flattened nicely. And what I mean with that is, hey, it's still, you go 5 feet, 4, 3, 5. You go up a little, but the inclination is handled very smoothly. The other sculpting techniques I was talking about in that drive before, it was not smooth, okay? And I know you're going for a little bit of a kind of penal effect if you missed it, but this is what you need to. That's a technique that a lot of new designers completely whiff on, me included. But that's nicely done. I'm not sure if somebody pointed that out to you or you figured that out on your own. My big point here is we got 3 tiers again. 1, 2, 3. Tiers are okay. Some folks don't like them. We're on hole 8, and I don't know, we've had 3 or 4 of them already, if not 5. I lost count. Some folks think they get a little tedious, and they're a little uninteresting. It's you hit the tier, you don't, and then if you don't hit the tier, your putt is like you have no chance. Just put it near the hole. Sort of. Look, I play a lot of Ross courses. Again, this whole location looks good. And there are tiers, but you got to use it sparingly. And, we're not even done with the front, and I've already noticed we kind of went to the well a little too often. And 3 tiers. Let's say maybe 2. 1.5 kind of thing. All right, so what do we got here? We got a 5. Again, the rocks. There's a bunch of rocks. Not much of a 3-wood option with the winds. You do have one. It's okay. No complaints there. Take that back. Oh, lion's mouth. Here we go. So again, this to me screams Rainer. Um, so the point of the lion's mouth. Let me see where the. Let me talk to you all about that in a second. That's on the left, so we actually want our tee shot to the left. I'm going to draw it a little. It's going to be a little. Where's the middle? That should work. So cool. It's a par 5 with the lion's mouth. A lot of times you see a par 4 with the lion's mouth, and of course the lion's mouth is this bunker in the middle, and you see kind of the legs wrap around. A lot of times it's a little bit more pronounced than that, and the goal is to make you think about your tee shot and what side of the hole you want to approach the hole from. So you can see here I did a decent job, and I've got the angle in, and I can run the ball up, especially on a 5. I think this is going to work for a 5. Like I said, you usually see it on a 4, I think. If the hole was back here, well, look what happened. I really would have trouble running it up because that bunker, small as it is, would be in the way. And if I was on the right side, I'd have trouble getting here and up here. So that's the goal of the lion's mouth. I love them. I've put a few of them in. This is pretty well done. The bunker is pretty much the right size. I think what some people do, that the tendency is to make these bunkers too big. You don't need it like way out here or anything like that. Small and subtle. You've surrounded it by, I would just say that looks like heavy rough. I would make that light rough, to be honest with you, but you don't want to be too penal here. And you've got the tiers here. You do see this kind of on lion's mouth hole. So again, I think this is well done. I like this. Got that wind. Do I want to draw it? I'm just going to put it right out there. I pushed it a little, but that should be fine. But I like this. Yeah, so it's templatey, screaming Rainer to me. Horrible pace. Horrible pace. These greens are rolling, which is good. See, there you go. You got the beads going. I see how all the beads are uniform. That's what you want. You got to have a kind of flow to the green, and it's going one way. It's okay to have it moving just a little. You don't want it moving too much, but don't try to artificially go in and flatten it. If you might or might not have done that. Something I was guilty of in the past. Yeah, grass looks a little big. Just, you gotta lower that a little and then blend in a second grass with that, and it looks super awesome. Something that matches well with it, that's the same, almost the same color texture. But it looks good off in the distance to the sides. Okay. So what do we have here in the green? Well, that's interesting. Sorry, still getting over a cold, folks, so you'll hear me hit the mute button a bunch. There's a little bit of a side hill lie we're talking about. So yeah, I think a little more slope and elevation in the fairways would make it more interesting. So here you see, now you've got tiers, and it's not like a 1, 2, 3 tier. You've got different sections of the green, and you've got a green that flows this way. Although I would say, to me, the natural flow of this green might go that way, but that's fine. It does, except for that part. But yeah, then that works though, because these tiers kind of go this way. Interesting. I like this one. And that's an interesting hole location. So I've got to throw it up there. I hate when it defaults to the pitch. 118 up the hill into the wind. Tree work behind looks good. I haven't mentioned that. The general planting is rock solid. It's not distracting. It adds a nice little touch. It's not wow, but we're in Westchester, not Monterey Beach, so I think it's just right. Yeah, you see that grass behind me, a little big, and that heath bush looks huge. Sorry, that's just me and my design and having to replant all my plantings on my ports over. I like this idea. Again, this screams like Sleepy Hollow, right? The thumbprint green. It's not really a thumbprint. There's kind of a thumbprint. Nothing wrong with it at all. Well, we got steps going to the green. I don't know if you want to hit the steps. Interesting. It's a little tight. I just think it's a little much. I'd tone that down and give you a little bit more room. But again, so this is getting more interesting rather than just 1, 2, 3 tiers. So I like this. Do I want to do a pitch? No, I think I want to do that. I think it's 7 miles an hour. I'm just going to lower the trajectory. That might work. That worked. All right. Take that. Move right along. Another 4. Alright, that's interesting, a little different. Look at the green. Yeah, there you go. So now you've got different sections and quote unquote, it's not really tiered. So I like that better. So far the greens on the second 9 are much better. Fairway stops there. I'm not really sure why, because you realize this is taking a 3 wood out of play. I don't mind fairways that stop, and you see that in a lot of Ross courses. Usually there's a reason, a big hill. So if this fairway was about 10, 15 feet up and higher than this fairway, yeah, be kind to your greenskeeper, and because can you get a mower on it, right? That's why, you know, some of these fairways ends, and people will say to me, well, why does that fairway end? Because it's a 10, 15 foot drop, and it's just not feasible to have fairway there. But this is just kind of odd. So if you're going to end a fairway, have some sort of reason, even if it's just a trench or a kind of an elevation change. Inverness has this, and on the 10th, it's basically about 250, 60 yards, 270 maybe, but it's a huge hill down to a second fairway that's reachable. So it's a very scenic, picturesque hole, which I tried to replicate for Cuyahoga and completely screwed it up. So again, I'm giving you all these comments, and take it all with a grain of salt, because I don't pull this off all the time myself. And that's why I try to help folks. But I love that hole in Inverness. One of these days I might try to reboot poor little Cuyahoga. Which I never really finished the way I intended. It didn't come out that great. It was a CC contest course for me that just flopped. But it was Ross, basically, Inverness and Scioto. Alright, 13, another 4. Well, this is looking pretty with the sun there. This is a late afternoon setting. Oh, see, that's good. See, I like this green. See, now you got it. You've got sections in the green. You don't need those dramatic 1, 2, 3 tiers. All right, and this is good. So you've got almost a narrows concept where it gets real narrow up around driver, but now you've got a good three wood option. Okay, that's much better. And I'm probably going for that because I don't really need to get way up there. See, that's much better. You got a good 3 wood option, plenty of room. Driver, if you want to take it out, you can do it. But again, you don't need to. You just want to throw a gap wedge up there. But pretty, I like this. Look at the lighting. That's really well done. Pretty hole. You know what I mean? That's all you need to do. Just tips for real life golf. I do that all the time. People just instinctively pull out driver. And I play quote unquote competitively. I'm a mid handicap myself. I can break 80. It's rare, but so that's kind of like the golfer I am. But I play with single digits all the time and 20 handicaps where we play for real, play the ball down. We make the putt here. And one of the biggest mistakes I see of the high handicaps, they just instinctively pull out driver on any par 4. Why? For a hole like this, if you're going to hit a 3-wood and some sort of gap wedge in, put it in play. Especially for a 20 handicap. Terrible putting. So this is what happens when I talk and putt. Good hole though. And then people say, oh, I don't want to get they just want to hit driver. Well, I don't want to spend 6 hours on the course with you chasing your ball through the woods. So the other aspect of that is putting the damn ball in play if you're a 20 handicap, because I'm not one that's overly crazy about slow play, but really, use your brain around the course a little. So that's kind of interesting. Those bunkers are a little odd, being both the same funky shape like that. Yeah, alright. So I like the greens better on the back still. Put a little spin here. So the wind's going to help. Like I said, I don't see a ton of Ross in this course, other than some of the green shapes are a little... Some of his courses, Inverness, etc. I've mentioned. Have that kind of angular shaping on the greens. 15, another 4. Okay, a little short of 4. Good. I was going to say the length of these 4s needs to vary a little. Again, so let's take a look at the bunkers again. Again, this is just very unique, uniform shaping of a bunker. I'm not sure why you're doing that. The sculpting here, I know there's some talk on the bulletin board post about your sculpting. You did do the insides of the bunkers fine. Having them flat on the inside's fine. But there's no kind of sculpting around them. Usually they're kind of cut into, not usually, but a lot of times they're cut into a little bit of a hill. And you kind of just got to sculpt them around them a little. Like I said, you can just take that fuzzy donut brush and go 2-3 inches around them. There's usually a high side and a low side to a bunker. This is just flat. You see flat on a waist bunker. You don't see it on a fairway bunker on the side much. And again, your fairways are flat. So, here, I wish I can get up to that bunker up there. That's a little bit more like it. Maybe when I hit my tee shot, I'll look at them. Just, everything's flat. And I know you want to be careful with them, but you do have some contouring around those bunkers. So good job on the inside. I'm just not sure of the shapes. Let's see if I can get over to that thing. Lob wedge, chip, flop. No, I'm not hitting it over here, folks. I want to look at this bunker. See, that's a little bit more like it. You've got a little bit of a hill. That would need some work, but, you know, it's kind of in that kind of side of the hill in the elevation a little bit. That's what I'm talking about. You just have a lot of flat, 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 flat. Let me get back over here. Sorry, this stinks on PlayStation, I know, guys. And this one I might just hit a little pitch in. Well, that wasn't that bad. A bit more spin would have worked there. Got it. Alright. 1 over, 3 to go. Can he finish under par? Maybe if I stop talking, I might actually make some birds. But I won't do that to you. The goal here is to kind of help out. Oh, interesting. Another bunker. I like par 3s when you have this. Again, we talked about the lion's mouth. Oh, this is interesting. You've got the hill coming here. Over there. Again, this is... So this is tiered but interesting. So I like this idea. So now you've got some concavity to this one. It's almost a pot bunker, which is fine. A little bit more interesting than these super flat things. Interesting concept. Where's the wind doing? It's helping me here. So let's go over here. But I like that. I like this idea. Come on, wind. Come on, wind. You're splining around the greens pretty good. Okay. Just gonna move a smidge. Yeah. That one was hard to read a little. So it's gonna move a little, but not much. Alright. There. My face. So I can probably get away with that. Let's see. Yeah, and those tiers are a little more subtle than the front. So these greens are much better on the back. Question here for me is, am I going to do it? Yeah, I'm going to do it. Alright, so it makes you think a little. Not bad. Come on, kick right. Kick right. Ah, kicks left. Alright. Just pulled a little, but I got the angle in. So yeah, some of these holes seem a little repetitive. Not a complaint, just an observation. And I was talking about the splining. I like how you've got the splining going around the green, really nice. And again, the entrances to the greens are well done. So that's something newer designers whiff on a lot. I'm going to give it extra. I'll just give it a little spin. So it doesn't run totally through this green. That might work. That might work. Ah, that little extra spin killed me, actually. Would have been better off without it. Alright. Get it. There we go. Alright, now we've got 5. So, let's talk about the rounding a little as we head into the last hole. There's only 3 par 5s, and one of them's on 18. So, it got a little repetitive for me because you got so many 4s. And the 4s are a little repetitive. Not bad, mind you, but, you know, it was just not a lot of break in it. It was a couple par 3s, and now there's no par 5s in the back until 18, which is fine. You do find that on some of these courses. There's nothing wrong with that, but you've really got to be careful about varying your fours and making it super interesting. Take a look at this. Again, you kind of got, now you're back to kind of the 3 tiers. Meh, it's okay. I like the clubhouse there. And the tents are a good idea. Good setting. Here's a little nitpicky thing. Just that tree off to the side. You can just put a little, like, simple little bush or some grass around it, because it looks like, just the way it's sitting, it's a little high, and it's, you know, the game doesn't do a good job of blending where you plant the trees in. Super nitpicky little thing. Nothing wrong with it. I'm just saying a dash of a bush or grass over there would be cool. That's just a helpful pointer. In that location, now I got to think about it. Ooh. Yeah, that's a tough one. With that wind, got to throw it down the left. Wind's just going to blow it right there. Yeah, for something like this, you've got a very narrow green, and that's very angled. There's no, you want to come at it from this side, right? There's no option there. Yeah, you know, it's nothing wrong with it, but it's, there's not a great way to attack that pin. I know it's the 18th, and you're trying to make it tough and make it a shot maker's course, etc. But meh, is my impression. It's also a long shot in. I hit a driver. I know it's a par 5. You can kind of come up in here. Again, nothing wrong with it. It's not a criticism. It's just meh. So obviously I'm going for it with the wind helping. Can he do it? Get it. Hey-o! Goes home with the bird and hits even par. Alright, Kyle, good job. It's a lot of stuff is really well done. The splining, the fairways, really well done. The cityscape's great. That's a good clubhouse with the tents. I might have to think of taking that idea. So it was really good. I think some of the shapes on the fairways, you kind of went with the angular, which is fine. You know, the bunkers got a little repetitive, so I wasn't sure what you're going for there. It was a little Rainer-esque. Be careful of the tearing and just being repetitive. Could have used some more variation, especially with the rounding that you had, but otherwise that's a solid effort for a rookie course. Enjoyed the round. I think it definitely gives you some playability and replay value. So different tees and wind directions would make the course play much different, especially the hole locations. So that is one thing the tiers give you. But again, just careful with them, because some folks are not fond of tiers or too many of them. All right? So great job. Hope you all enjoyed it, and I'll be back with more of these and hopefully some casual previews too soon, okay? Thanks for joining. Please like and subscribe, and we will see you soon. Bye for now.